Hello, everybody. I am Lori Joe Vest with Pop Speed Digital Marketing, and this is Kylie Metcalf. We've met before if you've attended any of our past LinkedIn Lives. Kylie is our social media lead at Pop Speed Digital, and I am the founder and social media specialist, I guess you could say. We both have social media in our blood. That's how that works, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
we are here to talk to you today about best practices for online communities. And I put a post up earlier that I wore my Peloton sweatshirt in honor of the subject matter because Peloton has an amazing community. They have their own community and they've inspired amazing communities to just pop up all over the place with all different types of focuses from like cancer survivors to moms to working moms to musicians. I mean, there's just all kinds of different Peloton communities. And so we're going to go into a little bit about how you can use your social media marketing effort to create a community that supports your marketing and your brand. So Kylie has put together an awesome presentation for us. I'm going to give her full credit. And
Thank you.
if you'd like to read our take on the Peloton community, we do have an article on our blog at popspeeddigital.com that will let you see that. And we have all kinds of other great information there as well. But we're going to dive into some things here and tell you some stories based on our experiences with communities on social media. So, Kylie, I'm going to let you cover this first slide.
Yeah,
What are
absolutely.
online communities?
So when we refer to online communities, it essentially refers to any group or database created by a company or organization that requires a community management effort from the people behind that brand. So this could be anything from website forums, FAQ documents are included, Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other social media platform that allows you to create groups. That's whether public or private that anybody can join or gain access to if they choose. A Patreon, Spotify idea forums, contact forums, affiliate communities. The list could really just go on and on. And it essentially is just it's an online forum that allows the people behind your brand to more closely connect with your audience.
And it's interesting because back in the day, back when I first started in advertising, most of the ads that we did were targeted to really large groups. You would talk about, cost per thousand, and the emphasis was always on reach and frequency. And then when it started to change, I think it was in the late 90s, early 90s maybe, they started talking about the market of one. And social media really does let you reach that market of one through communities. It's a really great way to help people feel connected personally to your brand. And one of the examples that Kylie just mentioned that might not seem like it belongs here, one of these things is not like the others, is the FAQ document.
Mm-hmm.
But the FAQ document on your website is a way that you can show your customers that you know what they need, that you're paying attention. And that FAQ document doesn't have to be dry and, boring. It can be, in a nice, fun language that's
Mm-hmm.
brand appropriate and it can continue the connection that your brand has with that consumer when they open it up. So even simple things like that, it all contributes. So moving on, we only want to keep you for a half an hour with our lives. So we want to honor your time. You have probably been involved in online communities as consumers, but have you considered how those examples can benefit your brand? And I'll give you an example myself. As a cancer survivor, I am in 3 or 4 different groups on Facebook that talk specifically about breast cancer or survivors of breast cancer riding Pelotons together. There's a huge group there, and when new patients, somebody comes in, they're just new in their treatment journey with breast cancer, they can come to the Peloton group and discuss their treatment and have a bunch of women kind of gather around them and answer all their questions. And that label on that group says Peloton. So they're getting this connection with the brand. So if you've ever been in an online community that was connected to a product or brand, you have been one of those people that is not, I'm not going to say a victim of community, but a participant
Right.
in a brand community. And it does create a more personal connection that people don't have when they're just looking at something. When there's a two-way conversation, all kinds of opportunities are there. So let's talk about the why. Kylie, I'm going to let you take this next one. Why
Yeah.
is a community so important?
So, the first reason, and I think the most obvious, is that it really humanizes the brand. By building an online community, you are developing intentionally a deeper connection and almost a bridge between brand and consumer. I think going back to FAQ documents, because it seems like a funny kind of offhanded example, but it really is an important one. By doing the research of what your audience really looks for and incorporating that into your FAQ document or into your Facebook group or whatever the online community outlet is there anything better when you go to a company's FAQ document and your question is front and center and you don't have to talk to a robot or call
Yeah,
and things like that? So by engaging with your audience in this deeper way, it increases your image. Your audience knows that you care. It increases customer loyalty, again, because they know that you go above and beyond to make sure that their needs are met. And by developing that trust between consumer and brand, it leads to traffic conversion. People are more likely to recommend, people are more likely to be comfortable visiting your website, your FAQ document, your online communities. So, not to mention, it engages the consumer with the people behind the brand. So, people trust that if they have a question that maybe is not on the FAQ document, they can take to the Facebook group or the LinkedIn group. And even if they don't get a hold of a brand representative right away, they might have their question answered by another loyal customer. So it
yeah.
builds, yeah, it builds a large connection between brand, consumer, other loyal audiences. So it really just it creates the human element among a space that's largely digital.
Absolutely. And I go as far as when I'm personally managing a community, and I do that, it's always good to have your hands in all the different areas of social to keep your skills sharp.
Mhm.
I always put my name. I use my first name. So I answer the question and then I put a dash and put Lori. And in a lot of cases, you'll see the conversation get more personal and the
Mhm.
consumer get more comfortable in the conversation once I've done that. I say, hi, Peter, and then I'll answer the question and say, thanks, Lori. And you really do have the opportunity to create a human to human connection when
Mhm.
you have the same person managing that community. The people that are regulars start to recognize that person, get to know that person, and it's nothing but strengthening those connections. It really does that well.
Mhm.
So it also gives you increased access to feedback. I recently visited a couple of different pages where they had comments turned off on posts.
Mhm.
Ugh, yikes. If you are a brand that is open to continuous improvement, then honest feedback is one of your biggest tools. And, I want to share a story that we came across that somebody for a local bar. There was a bar that we used to work with, and they had a review come in that shared a story that was just horrifying from a customer perspective. But the incident that had happened after hours with a new manager. And had they not been really paying close attention through our company and our connection to the comments coming in on the review channels and on their social channels, they may never have known that this manager had something going on that was just not appropriate for, dinner service. And it just made a real difference for them to know and to be able to manage that problem quickly before it came up 3, 4, 5 times. So feedback is love. Feedback
Mhm.
is important. And if you're a brand that's not open to hearing feedback, you may want to reconsider that and look into review sites and why they're so important because they really are critical to success for most businesses these days. So let's see. Kylie, I'm going to give you this one. Why do
Yeah.
people want to pay attention to review complaints?
Yeah, so like anybody, we are definitely understanding of the fact that as a brand, complaints can be frustrating, whether it's something that's out of your control or something that simply just got overlooked. Dealing with them can be tough. And we know that there are some that are, from time to time pretty unreasonable. But when you engage with complaints and really intentionally intake them within your online communities, there's really no better way to learn from them and see if there is a way to improve the brand by accepting those and potentially moving forward in a way where they shouldn't happen again. The way that we review
Absolutely.
complaints is there's two key reasons why somebody would take the time to visit an online community to complain. Either what happened was such a terrible experience that they feel like it needs to be brought to somebody's attention, or it's an audience member that is already very loyal to the brand that genuinely wants to see an improvement.
Mhm.
In either case, it's a really important outlet to collect complaints, collect things that may have gone wrong that you might not have considered previously, and understand that in either case, it's something that really needs to be reviewed and could ultimately just better the brand moving forward and continue to create that bridge between you and your key audience.
Absolutely. And I know one of the things that I used to write customer service books with a co-author and be in that customer service training space. And it's good for your team to know what consumers complain about. It's good for your managers to be the person who goes to that consumer and handles it compassionately to make a stronger connection. A complaining customer is a connected customer.
Mhm.
That's one thing to remember. Of course, that rule is not always 100% true. You do get those trolls. We have
Mhm.
trolls, everybody has trolls, but they're a very small percentage. Most legitimate complaints are from people who are connected to your brand already, and they want
Mhm.
you to be successful, and the only reason they tell you is so they can play a part in that. And
Mhm.
if whatever you can do to soothe those emotions online and immediately move that complaint to the telephone, that you don't wanna move it to email, you wanna move it to the phone and have a human being that talks to that individual, and then it takes away that, keyboard warrior thing. People
Right.
get behind a keyboard, they go back and forth, and it just escalates everything. Move the complaint to the phone, and I'm gonna tell a really quick story here. It's a really good one from this perspective that I had, stayed at the Hilton in Times Square back in 2012. Wonderful experience, went to the Blog Her conference, and I got back, and 2 months later, I've been billed $900 by the Hilton in New York. And reality was the conference, providers, we were a sponsor. The room was included in our sponsor package. That was not supposed to happen. I called the hotel. I called the hotel complaint line. I just kept going up the food chain and got nothing. Nobody would talk to me, and I was so angry, and it was $900, which is nice sum of money that most of us wouldn't wanna see just go away. And
Right.
they and at one point, somebody at the front desk of the hotel said, "Well, somebody's gotta pay for it." It's like, "Well, I understand that, but it's the event organizer who booked those rooms, not me personally." And, I couldn't get anywhere, so I hopped over to Twitter, and I spelled it out as succinctly as I could, "I need help." And I got a gentleman on the phone, "Gotta help us, we need more people like this guy." I got him on the phone, and he immediately was on my side. He immediately, not like he said, "Oh, you're right," but I could tell immediately he was feeling my pain, which is all we really want when we
Right.
complain and grouse, right? Is we want someone to feel our pain with us. And he was immediately on my side and said, "Okay, tell me the whole story. Give me all the details. Let me go away, and I'm going to call you in a few hours and we'll get this all figured out." He went away. He called me in a few hours. He said, "I've got somebody on it. Monday morning, you will have a credit. And I will also call you and confirm that everything's good." And he called me that next morning, and the credit was there. We were good. And I still love Hilton. I love Hilton. You can count on them. And even though some of the people at the front desk maybe didn't really know how to handle such a strange situation, they had a community customer service provider that knew exactly what to do, and he was on the top of his game. So that's one reason you want to pay really close attention. And of course, I went back out there to my 5,000 Twitter followers and all my friends on Facebook and said, "Oh my God, Hilton solved this problem, and it was really not that hard." And so I went back and retracted all my complaints too, and took everything down. And that's what people will do when they know you really care.
Mhm.
And your community on social media gives you the opportunity to demonstrate that care, So, all right, let's see what we got now. Easy customer support. Kylie, what do you got?
Yeah, I think this one, just to put it as simply as possible, is when an audience member or a potential consumer knows that they have access to the humans behind the brand that care about getting their problem solved or care about answering whatever questions they may have, I think any one of us would be more likely to engage with that brand, purchase from them, use their services. Pretty much playing into exactly your example with Hilton, knowing moving forward that if something like that, hopefully not, but does happen again, you know who you're going to call, you know that somebody will be there to support the problem. And essentially it gives, just kind of going back to that bridge between brand and consumer, when a consumer knows that that bridge exists, the fear of, well, what happens if this goes south, is kind of eliminated. Obviously it's still
Right.
inconvenient, but when you know that you're going to be dealing with a real person behind the brand, it kind of takes that stress away.
Hmm. And I have to say, since we're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn has really good customer service from Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had
we've talked
something
about
really,
that. Yeah.
yeah, really strange happened with a billing for an ad spend and a client card, and then the client card expired, and they bounced over and hit my card, and it wasn't really the right thing to do, and went over on Twitter, had somebody's attention, immediately was fixed. So yeah, so LinkedIn's doing a really good job of that, and it makes you feel good about advertising on the platform because you'll be able to get a human being. So I
Right.
love LinkedIn. Let's just say that. All right, value beyond the product or service. Now, this is an interesting definition of community that you may not think about, which is your website. And by engaging with your brand's online community, not necessarily on social, that can be in a bunch of different places, like Kylie mentioned earlier. But if you can create a community on your website, consumers get a whole nother level of access to the brand and to you as people. And I'll tell you a story. It's been a couple of years, but I used to work at an agency called Organic, and we had the U by Kotex account. And the brand really wanted to reach teenagers, young teens who were just starting to, get a menstrual cycle and trying to figure out what to do about it and kind of freaked out and not wanting to talk about it because they thought it was embarrassing. And they created a website, the agency did, and I was part of the social media effort where we solicited from the girls, what questions do you have? And they could email in or they could submit their questions on the website and they would get a individual email back written by a mom and an influencer, a doctor, a nurse. And they would get all their questions answered. And then we would also take those questions and write articles that answered them online. So if you submitted a question and you were being told that you were important enough to this brand to get a personal email response, and you could also see how what you asked would start to show up on the website in the form of articles and videos and things like that. So you're providing value beyond the product or service that you sell, and your community gives you an opportunity to do that. And it gives you so many different benefits, from what do they need to know? What are their pain points? How can we be helpful? And like we always say in social media, how can we provide helpful, useful content
Mm-hmm.
that connects my audience to my brand? It's the biggest question that we ask continually for our clients. So, Kylie, I'm gonna let you take this next one, the how. This is
Yes.
fun.
So now we'll switch into how to go about this, how to launch your community, online community efforts. First one is to post or prompt consistently. So what we mean by this, in whatever social forum works for your brand, For this example, I'll use Facebook and LinkedIn groups. It's really important that your community manager, or management team is regularly engaging with and getting the attention of the people that access that group. Otherwise, what's the point of having it?
Right.
If you're not using and leveraging that space as a way to consistently and frequently engage with the community members, they're not getting anything out of participating. So
Yeah.
an example of this in a Facebook group would be, for us, we have a dental implant clinic client, and we have created Facebook groups to engage with past patients, prospective patients, and current patients, not only to build a bridge between us and them, kind of learn what frequent questions may be, or what they're happy about, why they would, do it again, but also to engage those patients with each other, to have, past patients answer questions of prospective ones, and build that community amongst brand and potential consumer, etc. So if you're not leveraging those spaces as a place to consistently engage, get questions answered, access information, kind of collect that feedback, it's not entirely worth the effort
Right.
if there's not going to be an intention behind it.
I also, just as part of this, since we're talking about kind of starting up a group or a community, is it takes time
Mm-hmm.
and it takes consistent effort and it sometimes isn't very rewarding. And then all of a sudden it is. And with those dental implant clinics, we developed relationships with some of the past patients in the group to the point where one patient actually posted photos of herself in recovery. And so anybody that was a potential patient in the group could actually see what that recovery looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one was, "It's my birthday and I'm so happy to smile." And she had all these pictures. So what that group has turned into is a source of user-generated content, which is always
Mm-hmm.
amazing to me that we got connected enough to several people in the group that they provide us photos and things and let us use them on our social channels. That is the optimal type of connection. "Can we use your photo?" "Sure, go ahead."
Yeah, right.
You know? That's one of the best things of getting connected, like, on that level with your audience.
Yeah.
So, okay, converse, spark specific conversations. And I will say that under the post where the woman shared her recovery experience, there were some questions about her recovery. How long did it take? Did it hurt? And she went in and explained several different things about what the process was like. So, creating a community where your current customers can engage with your prospective customers is genius. It
Mm-hmm.
does work well. And then you as the company and brand can jump in and start conversations or do polls or, "Hey, it's Sharon's birthday today. Everybody say happy birthday." Might
Mm-hmm.
be appropriate depending on the group, but I think groups are having a resurgence. Don't you,
Yeah.
Kylie?
Yeah,
In the
I
last 3
completely
years,
agree.
we've seen more groups in the last 6 months than we have in 3 years. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. Go ahead, Kylie.
Engage. Yeah. So a lot of these kind of go hand in hand in these groups or forums or whatever the case may be, these social online communities. It's important to use your posting, prompting, and conversing to garner engagement. So essentially we want to ask questions, we want to do giveaways, we want to, for, really heavily participating audience members, we want to exchange perks for participation. We want to access that information by conducting polls. We want to reply to comments. Essentially, we want to use all of these tools to expose the humanity of the brand by being present and intentional. So what we mean is, when you create these Facebook groups, you don't want to just stop at the question. You want to reply to responses. You want to continue to reply to other questions that may come up in comments, um, by conducting really intentional polls, kind of how we talked about UGC, and leveraging that. You can create a really simple outlet to not only let your community know that you care about their opinion to specific questions and you want to know what they need and how they feel, etc. But it also gives you content to use moving forward. An example of this, in these Facebook groups for our dental clinics. We've recently asked what the best thing, what our audience's favorite thing is about their new smiles after they've had this procedure done. And it's great because then our audience knows, we care about precisely like the value that they took from our services and from engaging with us as a brand. But then we also get to use that moving forward to kind of suck in potential clients moving forward. So and so says that they get to smile bigger than they've ever been able to before. If somebody sees that and they're a little insecure about their smile, that might really get their attention. It might send them into the group, and then it might convert into a sale later on.
Hmm. Because it is a long game.
Mm-hmm.
Community promotion is a long game. It takes a little bit to draw someone in and create a connection with them.
Yeah.
This is a really important one. Just
Yeah.
designate the right person to manage the community. So your community manager should be personable. They should know the brand. They should be enjoy talking to people and be the kind of person that cares that the answers to common questions aren't just all cut and paste. That those
Mm-hmm.
answers have been custom written for, maybe it's a template, but the answers have been customized so we don't look robotic. People who aren't afraid to put their name, just their first name, but who aren't afraid to put their name in and who are really committed to being service oriented. That's really important because there will be people that will come on and say the dumbest things.
Yeah.
Trolls are everywhere and
Yes.
they say really dumb things. And either you don't answer or you answer in a way that is, brand appropriate or whatever. But the right person who's really committed to that relationship needs to be assigned to manage the community. And it's got to be one person,
Mm-hmm.
one person assigned to do it so that it's done. So
Yeah.
let's see what else we got here. All right, Kylie, I'll let you wrap us up. We are at 27 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Look at us. I had a schedule. Another great way to do it is by outsourcing people that know what they're doing when building an online community. In that case, this is our little plug for us. We love being the humans behind a brand. We're always eager to use our experience in creating successful online communities to work for brands like yours. We, as Lori said, we've seen this resurgence of online communities, particularly, I think, in the last year, where building this community, because with digital marketing, it's a blessing and a curse, right? It's great because it's easy because it's digital, but the con is also it's digital. I don't know if I'm talking to a human. I want that human connection. By leveraging people with experience in building successful online communities, it really can work wonders for building that bridge between your brand and your prospective audience.
Absolutely. And I'll have to say too, just I'll close with we bring the enthusiasm.
Yes,
We
we do.
really we are a group of people that absolutely love social media, love community building, and are committed to getting results for our clients. So if we can help you create an online community for your brand, we do have a contact form at popspeeddigital.com, or you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm an open networker at Lori Jo Vest, and Kylie, you are too, right?
Yes, I am.
So find us. We're happy to chat about what we do, and we also always will do a half hour on the phone live audit of your social media at no charge. So if that interests you, let us know, and we'll be back next month. Don't know what the topic is yet, but we will come up with something that will be informative, helpful, and useful. And
Yes.
we'll see you then. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.